Hi class, so today we're working on our waistband sample. There are 2 sheets, 3 pattern pieces, and 4 total cut pieces. Our first piece is our waistband piece. This one is going to be cut on the fold, and this fold line indicates our lengthwise grain. We're going to be cutting one on fold out of muslin, and then we're going to be cutting an interfacing piece for this waistband 2 inches by 18 inches wide. On this sheet we have our front piece and our back piece. Our front will be cut 1 out of muslin on fold, and then our waistband back will be cut 2 out of muslin, and then we're going to cut a 1-inch strip to cover the back seam allowance. Always remember that when cutting on fold, this line also indicates your grain line, which is parallel to your selvage. So when you're going to cut these pieces out, on your muslin, try to find your selvage. So I have one right here. If you have already cut off your selvage, you can do the pull test to find your lengthwise grain. So typically, your lengthwise grain will be a lot stronger along this weave. Your cross grain, which is perpendicular to your selvage, will have a little bit of give to it. So since this is our selvage right here, we know that's our lengthwise grain, and our front piece and our waistband are going to be cut on fold parallel to that grain line. So we're going to fold along our lengthwise grain enough for us to fit both our waistband and our front piece. Just like that. If you fold it a little bit further, you're able to also fit your center back piece. All right, here we are. So you can pin those and cut. Okay, so we have all of our waistband pieces cut out, and now we have to add some notches. First, we want to add a notch on our center back seam. So measure up from the bottom of your center back piece, 3 inches. Mark that. And give those 2 pieces a notch. For our front piece, we want to be notching directly on the fold on the top of that front piece. So you can get your scissors right inside of that fold and notch right on top. For our waistband piece, we want to be notching along this fold line right here. So only notch at the side, do not notch at the fold of the waistband. We also want to place a notch at each side of the fold of this waistband right here. And you're ready to go. So here I have our interfacing pieces cut. On our waistband pattern piece, it says to cut interfacing 2 inches by 18 inches. So I have that rectangle cut out here, 2 inches wide by 18 inches long. And this is going to be placed under one of the fold lines on the waistband, and then centered between the 2 seam allowances on the side of the waistband, just like this. And that can be fused down in place. Then for the center back, I have 2 strips that will reinforce the center back seam allowance on each piece. So they're 1 inch by about 8.5 inches long. And those will be placed right on the back of the center back pieces. Now when using fusible interfacing, you have to be really careful. The interfacing itself has a right side and a glue side. You want to make sure that the glue side, which has lots of bumps on it, are facing down onto your muslin. With the iron, you can use a little bit of steam and ideally use the vacuum board, and then let the iron rest on top of the interfacing for about 5 to 8 seconds until completely fused. When working with a longer piece such as the waistband interfacing, you can center the interfacing between the seam allowances. And then you want to try not to glide the iron along the interfacing. You want to do it one portion at a time, letting the iron sit on top of the interfacing until fully fused, and then moving on to the next section. Now, fusing the interfacing that way will prevent any unnecessary wrinkles or folds or bubbles caught underneath or between the interfacing and the muslin. Okay, so here we have all 4 of our pattern pieces cut out, interfaced, and notched. The next step will be to overlock our side seams. So we're going to overlock both pieces, or both sides of the back pieces, and then both sides of the front piece. Okay, so the next step is to construct our skirt body at the side seams. So we want to sew our backs to the fronts at these sides. We're going to line those up, just like this. Then we're going to stitch these together at a 1/2 inch, and then press our seams open. Our next step is to sew our center back together from the notches down to the bottom of the skirt. So what we are going to do is line up our center back pieces, in at the notch, and we're going to sew this together at a 1-inch seam allowance from the notch down to the bottom, making sure you back tack on both sides, and then we'll press this seam allowance open as well. So we have our center back seam stitched together from the notch down, and now we have to press this open. We have a circle. I think the best way to press this flat is to put it on the arm and press it flat so that we're not doing anything to the center front of the skirt. So line your seam and finger press that open. Put it inside out. Give that seam a nice crisp press. Now we're ready to construct our waistband. Alright, so the first step in constructing our waistband is to fold along the fold line. So we want to be folding this right sides together, so that's the side without the interfacing. Fold like this, match the center notches, and make sure you're folding along the fold line notch at each side. Now you're going to fold up the seam allowance of your interfaced waistband. So we're going to fold up this 1/2 inch and press that down. So when this waistband is constructed onto our skirt, one side will have an extension and then the other side will lay flush with the center back. So the next step will be to finish the side of the waistband that will be flush with the center back. So we're going to stitch from the top of this fold down to the top of the waistband, back tacking at both sides, stitching at a 1/2 inch.